Diary of a Wimpy Kid, No Brainer, by Jeff Kinney. April, Monday. The human brain is supposed to be this amazing supercomputer that's capable of all sorts of incredible stuff. But if that's true, then I don't know why my brain is always making me do stupid things. Ouch! It's actually a little annoying because if you think about it, your brain's one job is to be smart. I guess it's my own fault for filling my brain with things that aren't important, like video games, cheat codes, and theme songs to old TV shows. Because now there's no room left for stuff that actually matters. The problem with a brain is that there's only a limited amount of room in there, so eventually you run out of storage. And the reason it's hard for old people to learn new things is because their brains are just full. It's called social media, and if you want to like something about something, you just press the little heart. One of these days, they're gonna figure out a way to add more memory, and when they do, I'm gonna buy myself the biggest booster pack I can afford, and playing video games. In the meantime, I'm trying to be real choosy about what I put in my brain, so when someone's telling me something I don't need to know, I just try and block it out. So then Miss O'Malley said she wasn't the one who cut me a line, so I asked her why she was talking to Mr. Ferguson behind my back. La la la, I can't hear you. When you're a kid, the thing that you use your brain for the most is school. And a lot of your brain power goes to memory useless stuff, like the names of vice presidents and the words to preschool songs. If you're happy you know it and you really want to show it. One thing that's really inconvenient is that your brain is inside your head, so you have to take it everywhere you go. But if they ever figure out a way to deal with that issue, then school is gonna be a whole different thing. I think it would be great if your brain could be at school learning while you're off doing things you actually enjoy, like playing laser tag with your friends or hanging out at the arcade. Then you could pick up your brain at the end of the day and get all caught up. So what did you learn at school today? None. For now, I guess we're stuck with the current situation where your body and your brain needs to be in the same place. And if you're a kid, that means you've got to spend a big chunk of your time at school. My problem with that is how long the school day is. You're there for 7 hours, but you probably only spend 20 minutes a day on actual learning. And that's because most of your time is spent on stuff that doesn't have anything to do with education. Yes, it does. Today in 5th period, we spent 0 time learning about history because a bee got loose in the classroom, and that pretty much killed the chance of anything productive happening. I just wish everyone would stop fooling around and just get down to business once school starts. For real. Because that way we could get the learning part over with and be out of there before lunchtime. But I think they like to stretch things out and keep you there for as long as possible. I mean, hey, what can I say about that? The whole reason school was invented in the first place is because back in olden times, kids were causing too many problems at home while their parents were at work. Yep, definitely seems like it to me. So they created this whole system with textbooks and lockers and algebra and phys ed just to keep kids out of trouble for 3 hours every day. Hey, stuff happens, man. At my school, well, you're in school from the time you're 4 until you're at least 18. And after you're done with your education, you have to get a job and work until you reach old age. So by the time you're through with all that, you're too tired to do anything fun. Yep, that's definitely me. Well, not really, but I'm getting there. But if they really wanted to, they could probably teach you everything you actually need to know by the time you're 5 or 6. But I guess parents don't want to have to compete with the kids for good paying jobs. Congrats, grads! So they teach you a little bit at a time so you don't get too smart too quick. And sometimes they teach you stuff you can't even use. That's what's been happening at my school lately. I just took 3 months of Latin with a teacher named Mr. Layton, and it was my favorite class. But it turns out he didn't know Latin at all, and he was teaching us nonsense the whole time. Oh dear, I can't read this, but I'm gonna try my best. Esco to school, number school. I'm so Gregorio. When the school found out Mr. Layton was the fraud, they fired him. So now all I've got to show for the last 3 months of my life is knowing how to order a hamburger in a language that doesn't even exist. Mr. Layton isn't the only one teaching stuff we can't really use. My social studies teacher is Mrs. Lackey, and this is her last year. So the only countries she teaches us are about the ones she's planning on visiting with her husband after she retires. To the Bahamas! And for our last homework assignment, she had us research which cruise ships have the best meal plans. Premier Cruise Line. Free drinks? Yes. Good gluten-free menu? Yes. Dessert bar? Yes. Salad bar? Yes. All of them. All checked out. Queen Cruises. Only thing checked out is gluten-free menu. Same with Island Hopper. Wow. Nothing interesting, but okay. Some of our teachers don't even bother trying to teach us anything at all. Miss Pritchard is supposed to be teaching us geometry, but she uses her new spikeboard for stuff like helping her pick out which breed of puppy to get. A few of the teachers are doing their best, but us kids don't always make it easy for them. Mr. Rask tried teaching science the regular way for half the year, but nobody seemed interested. Yeah, I know it's lame, but hey. School is school. Work is work, like homework. So he switched to teaching about growth stuff, and even though it makes science a lot more interesting, I don't think any of the information we're learning right now is going to help us get into a good college later on. The science behind farts. Blah, 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 blah. I wish I didn't know half the stuff I've learned in Mr. Rass's class, because ever since we watched the video about the microscopic parasites living on our skin, I can't stop itching. Itch, itch, scratch, scratch. Question mark? Yeah, relatable. I hate that. We don't even have an algebra teacher anymore. Mrs. Kwan went on a maternity leave back in October, and they never found a long-term sub to fill in for her. So during first period, they just stick us in a computer lab and have us go on this math website, which is sponsored by a candy company. Gobsmashers math. How many more fruity middly gobsmashers can fit in Billy's mouth before he busts? A. 34. B. 37. C. 43. D. 54. I don't know. Neither of them that aren't right. Now everyone in my grade needs candy to do math, and when we took a standardized test last month, a bunch of kids brought packs of jelly beans and bubblegum to help them count. Some of them are chewing, some are blowing, some are counting, some are actually eating. 43, 44, 45. I probably would have done a lot better on the test if I wasn't sitting behind a kid who went to do an entire job of gobsmashers. Crunch! It wasn't just the math section that was hard though. The reading section had a bunch of essays, and the science section had questions about stuff we never covered in class. And it wasn't a single question about farts or burps. So when our school's test results came back, it wasn't a surprise that our scores were the lowest in the state. In fact, our scores were so bad we made the news. Woman. Middle school's performance nosedives. Test scores plummet. A lot of parents were really upset, including mine. And I guess the superintendent was under pressure to make big changes because he fired our principal, Mrs. Mancy, and asked the old principal, Mr. Bottoms, to come out of retirement. Uh-oh. Mr. Bottoms. I'm actually surprised Mr. Bottoms agreed to come back because the way my older brother Roderick described it, when Mr. Bottoms retired a few years ago, he went with a bang. Woohoo! Oh, let me say that again. Woohoo! But I'm rooting for him to turn things around because based on my education so far, The only job I'm gonna be qualified for is the cruddy middle school Latin teacher. I'm Boogie! Friday. Principal Bottoms has only been in charge for a few days, but he's already made some big changes. And any class that doesn't teach stuff that's on the standardized test has been cut. Which kind of stinks because we had just started the brownie baking unit in our whole EC class. Things have gotten a lot more serious in the classes I went to cut, like science. Mr. Rask isn't teaching about biosmoles and things like that anymore. But that doesn't mean the stuff we're learning isn't gross. Because this week, he announced we were starting a dissection unit on tapeworms. Luckily, there weren't enough tapeworms to go around, so me and my partner, Tyler Geary, had to work with some noodles from the cafeteria instead. Tyler takes the science stuff pretty seriously, though. And you'd never think he was operating on leftover pasta. Scalpel! I guess maybe Tyler will grow up to be a surgeon one day, but I hope I don't end up on his operating table, because I don't know exactly where he got his education. Greg Kathleen. Everybody thinks learning science is great, but they never talk about the flip side of things. I've seen a bunch of movies where a scientist loses their mind and tries to take over the world. But you never see any movies where the villain is a mad zookeeper or a mad gardener. So when it comes to science, I think the less you know, the better. Because I don't need to be the guy who messes around and accidentally opens up the portal to the demon realm. Tyler Geary says that if we ever get to operate on real tapeworms, he's going to try to bring one back to life by hooking it up to electrodes. And this is exactly the type of thing I'm worried about. If you ask me, you shouldn't go screwing around trying to bring the dead back to life. On top of it just being wrong, it could also be pretty awkward. I feel bad I never sent my great aunt Reba a thank you card for the birthday money she gave me a few years ago. So I don't know what I'd say to her if she was back in the picture all of a sudden. Sorry, I couldn't find stamps. When I'm gone, I hope my family doesn't try to bring me back to life. Because if coming back means having to babysit my great-great-great-grandkids, I'd rather everyone just let me rest in peace. We'll be back after the movie. And there's Greg at old age. Wow. But I probably shouldn't worry about someone in my class making a big scientific breakthrough, because you need the proper equipment for that sort of thing. In my school, can't even afford to give everyone the right kind of protective eyewear, so people have to bring their own gear from home. The science lab isn't the only place in our school that doesn't have the proper equipment, though. Half the laptops in the computer center have missing letters on the keyboards. And last week I got a bad grade on the history paper when I had to use the computer that was missing all of the vowels. Greek history, world history, ancient pyramids. Those are the years ago. Instruction, blah 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 blah. I can't read. F. The area of the school where we're shortest on materials is the library, because a lot of the shelves are empty. But it wasn't always like that. Back in September, we got a new librarian named Miss Macy, who created a graphic novel section and filled it with books she had paid for with her own money. The most popular books were from the series called Commander Crocodile, and no matter how many copies she bought, Miss Macy couldn't keep them on the shelves. If you wanted to check out a copy, you had to put your name on a list that was a mile long. Here are the books. Commander Crocodile, Full Swing, by Maddie Shub. Commander Crocodile, Tunnel Vision, also by Maddie Shub. Guess she's famous for doing that. But I guess some parents had a problem with the way Commander Crocodile was drawn, so they filled out a complaint form. Library book, challenge form. Name of book, Commander Crocodile, Tunnel Vision. Author, Matty Shub. Reason for challenge, Crocodile is not wearing pants. Apparently, the rule is that if one parent complains about a book, it has to be removed from the library. But Miss Macy came up with a compromise to keep the series on the shelves. She used a marker to draw pants on Commando Crocodile, and that seemed to satisfy the parents who made us think about it. Yep, here it is.
Crikey, this bloke just won't quit. I got a bone with picking with y'all mates, Crunk. It's getting little chonkers in here.
But then a new problem cropped up. Some kids had their own uncensored copies of Commander Crocodile at home, and they brought them to school. And when Mr. Principal Bottoms found out about it, he confiscated the copies. Nani? Moment. So then the school started checking out bags full of Commander Crocodile books at the beginning of the day, which added 15 minutes to get through the doors. Security checkpoint. Please place bags on table. Yup, examination time. Greg's here, looking a little nervous about what they're gonna find in his backpack. But kids are smart. And some of them figured out ways to sneak the books into school anyway. Genius. It turns out that complaints are contagious because some parents suddenly noticed that there were a bunch of books in the library that had animals without any clothes. So then Miss Macy had to spend her time dealing with that case. Eventually, Miss Macy gave up and put all the books that were challenged in the back room. The back rooms? And if you wanted to read them, you had to get a permission slip from a parent. Yep, just like what they're doing now. Somebody's foot right there. Feet. After a while, there were more books in the band section than the main library, so the school had to write to all the parents and ask them to donate books from home. But that just gave everyone an excuse to unload all the books they didn't want. South County, phone book, teacher cat sang language, fabulous fungi, Kulik refrigerator model XX9-42.3, operating manual. If you ask me, I think the whole book banning thing backfired. A lot of people donated romance novels, and the stuff in them is a lot more inappropriate than anything in Commander Crocodile. Winds of Desire, Annika Erickson. My mom says those types of books aren't real literature, but I figure as long as the person is reading, it's a good thing. Yeah, don't do it while in the bathroom, Greg. That's kind of weird. Wednesday. Principal Bottoms is trying to encourage kids to get better grades. So last week he created this new program called the High Flyers Club, which is kind of one of those airline rewards programs. The basic idea is that the better you do in school, the more rewards you earn. High Flyers Club, 3 stars, wisdom 5. The kids in the Fly Highs Club get all sorts of perks like preferred seating in a classroom with extra legroom. Oh yeah. Ew! This dude's waking up with feet. Ew. What's his socks, man? But that kind of stinks with the rest of us because now there's less space with everyone else. Yup. One dude's having it. The other 4 aren't. Even Greg. In geometry, there wasn't a lot of room to begin with, so to make extra space for the high flyers, they had to take out a whole row of seats. That means kids like me who used to sit in the back have to sit on a heater. And that thing is so hot that if you sit still too long, your butt could burst into flames. So I have to shift from one cheek to the other to give each a break. Hot, hot, hot! Yeah, that's what happens. Well, that's what you get for sitting in the back, boy. But extra legroom isn't the only thing we're jealous about. The high flyers get snacks and drinks during class, which they're not allowed to share with the rest of us. Yup, that teacher's face when she handed them out was like, oh, what a day. And then Greg at the back just like, bruh, he's watching them. He's jealous, I know. He's like, I want to get in it too, but how? You gotta find a way, he thinks. When they're not in class, the high flyers get to use the teacher's lounge. And I've heard their teachers aren't too thrilled with that part of the deal. Yep, him just trying to have a lunch break while the other students are just like there, chilling and relaxing at the same time. I'm not too bothered that those kids can use the teacher's lounge, but I am jealous they get to use the bathroom in there. I've heard it's a one-seater, and I really need my privacy when I go. I wouldn't go in there for a little while. Wave. Suspicious? Yeah, what's happening there? Don't. The high flyers even have their own separate entrance when they get to school. So they So they breeze through security in the morning. Fast track. All the other students. Bruh. Damn. On top of that, the high flyers get let out of school before everyone else. And even though it's only 5 minutes early, that's still plenty of time to get a head start on the bullies. Yo, run, boys, run! They're watching you, but they can't do anything because they're not part of the club. Everyone wants to be part of the High Flyers Club, but it's not that easy to get in. You need to have straight A's in all your classes, and there are only a handful of kids smart enough to actually pull it off. Some kids have been cheating to try to get better grades, and they've been coming up with some pretty ingenious ways to do it too. In geometry, Adam Katz wrote a bunch of equations on the back of his sticker. On the back of the sticker on his water bottle, so he could look at them during the test. And he might have gotten away with it if he wasn't so obvious about what he was doing. Yup, right behind. He doesn't notice the teacher just staring at him like with anger. Grrr. Greg there again. In science, a kid named Diamond Fell actually made a fake gun which he put on top of his desk during the test. Then he looked up answers on the phone. He was only underneath the desk. The only reason he got busted was because he got a notification right in the middle of the test. Ding! Nani? Uh-oh. R.I.P. Some kids have been teaming up to cheat. A few girls in my history class wrote the names of the most important battles of the Civil War on the backs of the necks. They moved their hair out of the way once the test started. Dang. I don't know that's a good idea to do that. I wouldn't do that, but if they're going for it, they're going for it. And in English, a bunch of kids created this crazy system of communicating answers to each other by using Morse code with the pens, but nobody let me on what they were up to. A lot of clicking. So annoying. The cheating's become such a big problem that today the school had an assembly to do with it. They brought in this guy named Clarence Cluster, who said he started cheating when he was in middle school, which ruined his whole life. And I think his story actually shook a few kids up. Clarence Clutter, cheater. This old guy. An actor. But I'm 90% sure that this guy's name wasn't even Clarence Clutter, and that he was just an actor the school brought in to scare us. I mean, what are the odds? That's because he looks exactly like one of the characters in a dinner theater my family went to over the summer. Be your guest! Be your guest! Greg's just not having it. Even his father and Roderick. Only thing smiling is his mother, not Manny. If the school really wanted to get through to us about how dishonesty can ruin your life, they should have brought in the school's very first principal, Larry Mack. But I guess they couldn't do that since he's still in prison. Alright, he's done a lot of things, crazy stuff, bro. If the name Larry Mack sounds familiar, it's because his family owns a giant chain of car dealerships out on Route 1. And he's stolen a bunch of old billboards today nobody even bothered to take down. Tell him Larry sent ya! Larry Mack. But Larry Mack didn't start off in a car dealership. Car business. He was the principal of the middle school for 10 years. And after he got famous for his car dealerships, they named the school after him. Larry Mack, middle school. And no rooftop. You need to have one. He was so popular that they even made a statue of him, which they put in the front courtyard. Ta-da! Looking kind of fancy over there. But after Larry Mack opened his 5th car dealership, some reporters started poking around, trying to learn how he got the money to start his business. With a little detective work, they figured out he'd been stealing from the middle school for years. And it was a huge scandal at the time. Dun dun dun. The Daily Herald. End of the road for ex-principal. From what I heard, the police arrested him at his dealership right in the middle of a sale. Tell him Larry sent ya, or tell him Larry failed ya. After that, the school took down the statue, or at least the Larry Mack part of it. The only evidence that he was ever there is his shoes, which took the kid off the pedestal. I mean, hey, with a little bit of hard work, you could actually do it, but I guess they just didn't. Think about it. They never did change the name of the school, though, and that is because some people like being linked to someone famous, even if that person's famous for doing terrible things. You'd think people in my town would be embarrassed to have the middle school named after a crook, but nobody here around here seems too bothered by it. Even their school mascot, the Looter, was inspired by Larry Mack. Go Looters! Steal win! And the mascot literally looks like a robber, holding money. The fact that Larry Mack landed in prison didn't stop him from making money, though. He wrote an autobiography, which apparently sold a ton of copies. I know my school bought at least 50 of them because they took up 2 whole shelves in the Larry Mack section of the library. Drive. How to succeed in life with business. Larry Mack. The license plate is his last name. A kid named Albert Sandy, who sits at my lunch table, said that Larry Mack only used half the money he stole to start his car dealership, and he buried the other half right under the school. Interesting. So they're gonna find ways to do that. That got everyone all stirred up, and people started bringing tools from home to try to find Larry Mack's secret treasure. A lot of ding 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 ding. Last week, this kid named Danny Tang got the idea that the money could be hidden in the walls, so he broke through a hole through the back of this locker to see if he could find anything. Unfortunately for me, Danny's locker is on the other side of mine, and now there's nothing in between them. Bruh, what a fail. To make things worse, kids figured out that the hole between our lockers was a shortcut from the A wing to the B wing of the school. So now whenever I open my lockers between classes, there's always a line of kids waiting to get through. Oh wow. What a pity way. Stop. Then he decided to try to make a little money off the situation, and he started charging people to take the shortcut through his locker. So that gave other kids the idea to create their shortcuts of their own. But not every locker connects to one on the other side, and Kristen McKay found out the hard way that his locker shares a wall with the principal's private bathroom. What the? Hey, yo, that's kind of weird. Wow, I never knew that. After that, Principal Bottoms put his foot down, so now we're not allowed to bring any kind of digging tools to school, which means it takes twice as long to get through security in the morning. Dun dun dun, first guy busted. Emo kid, kind of, and then him. Friday. It turns out Principal Bottoms was only getting started with the new rules, because now there are a bunch of them. Meaning he created a lot of them. In school. The latest rule is that if you're in the hallway while class is in session, you need to have a hall pass. And I can kind of see why Principal Bottoms made that change. Because sometimes it seems like there are more kids in the hallways than there are in the classrooms. But as soon as the Principal Bottoms came up with that rule, kids just started making their own hall passes, and hall monitors couldn't tell which ones were fake, which ones were real. Suspicious. So Principal Bottoms made a new rule that every teacher had to have their own unique hall pass that wouldn't be easy for us kids to fake. Now, Madame Leferrier's hall pass is a big French-English dictionary, and Mr. Ball's hall pass is used size 14 basketball shoes. Ew. Dang, must have a lot of weight, but the girl, ew. Even a woman is like, Mr. Rass's hall pass is a human skeleton, which he attached to his wrist with rubber hands. Uh-oh, Greg's having it. Oh no.